Armstrong tested positive for water.
That's really awful.
Hawk, you can of course tell me what an official heat wave is, right? We've been over this before.
I will tell you, it was so hot today that cows were giving evaporated milk. It was, and of course, the one I use every year.
Which would be probably good for the dairy industry
And
because
the one
there's
I
way
use-
too much milk these days.
Every year, it was so hot today. On the way to the studio, I saw a fire hydrant chasing a dog. Boom. Okay, so
So give me the definition
the
of a heat wave.
definition of a heat wave, I'm going to guess 90 days, 3 days or more.
Sorry,
Or 90 degrees.
90 days?
90 degrees.
Maybe in Dallas,
right.
Texas, maybe.
90 degrees, 3 days or more.
Very good.
Is that correct?
That's it, right on.
Okay.
At least 90 degrees for at least 3 straight days.
And I'm not even
Burlington was 90 yesterday. I assume it was probably
Must have been more than
90 today. Tomorrow we might come close. Tomorrow sounds kind of stormy. Might not make it, but
me thinks we got rain early afternoon.
I think yesterday was Burlington's first 90.
Let's grab a call. Good evening. You are the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey guys.
Greetings,
How
caller.
you doing?
Yes, well, I was calling to complain about that you were interrupting my nonstop Frankie Valley and the Four Seasons here. It is that's what I was listening to for the last 10 minutes
okay.
or so.
Okay. Now, caller, are you interested in free tickets to the Franklin County Field Days?
I actually already have a free offer to go.
Okay, then the hell with you then.
Okay, and again, you interrupted my Frankie Valley and the Four Seasons, but I'll still talk to you anyways.
And I have not seen the movie Jersey Boys. I did see the show Jersey Boys.
You're ahead of me.
Yeah, the movie Clint Eastwood directed Jersey Boys last year. Frankie Valley's great.
I guess I did see some.
And I did see the movie too, also Nighthawk.
Yeah.
And
How was the movie? Did you like the movie?
A movie phobe, if you will. It was kind of slow, a bit dark, but it was good if you're into the music industry, and it showed kind of the ugly part of the music industry, which exists today. But anyways, the reason I'm calling is I want to go through a couple things real quick. Is Roger Goodell.
Want Ian?
I was just going to have him turn down the
Ian,
volume.
can you turn the monitor down?
This is what I want to do with Roger Goodell. Everyone, well, not everyone, but many say, fire him. And I understand why people would say that. What I would do with him is reassign him. I would give him a cubicle and name him CFO, because CFO is Chief Financial Officer. He is brilliant in bringing in literally billions, not millions, billions. He's brilliant with money. He is awful with human beings and human perception. And this guy, he's a train wreck. Right since the Ray Rice issue, which, by the way, I defended him with the Ray Rice thing because it was kind of new and kind of quick in the video. So I didn't blame him because it was just so new. But this guy has fumbled absolutely every public perception. Now, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, okay? So I have Greg Hardy, okay? I do. And I'm not a Patriot fan. I'm a Cowboy fan. Greg Hardy gets 4 games for beating a woman and putting a gun against her head. And Tom Brady has a questionable de-inflated ball, which absolutely had no connection whatsoever to the integrity of the game or the outcome of the game, because I keep going back and when I speak to this topic with people, here's just 2 numbers, 28 and 0. That was the score of the second half of the game, 28-0 with the, and I'm using air quotes, properly inflated balls. This is such a non-topic. This is ad nauseum. I am so sick. I shut the NHL off with their strike years back, and they had no legs to stand on to begin with. They had no American audience, and they still went on strike. I'm getting to that point with the NFL now. with Roger Goodell.
Caller,
This,
let
this
me.
is the most ludicrous situation I have ever seen in all major sports in my entire life.
Okay, and I'm going to cede most of my time to the Duke because he is a Patriot fan, and I will admit I spent very little time with Deflategate because it was boorish. However, I'm going to give you two names that this reminds me of: Richard Nixon and Martha Stewart. It's not so much the crime,
No, it's the
it's
cover-up.
the lying about it, the cover-up. Brady has been non-cooperative with the NFL, and the smoking gun yesterday was the telephone, the destroying of his cell phone, whether he
That was
took a
media.
hammer to it or if he threw
no,
it in
no.
the Charles
It was
River.
not destroyed. That's the media saying it was destroyed. Are you saying he put it on the floor and then stepped on it repeatedly with his foot?
No, it's gone. It's
that's
gone.
The
What
media.
what difference
And
does it
that's
make how it's gone?
NFL
It's gone.
trying to cover Goodell's.
He got well.
Boy, I wish I could. Speak
Right, the
through
word
one.
destroy is a rather broad word. It's not in his presence.
gone. Who cares
It's gone.
what
It's
happened?
gone.
It's gone.
He's been totally uncooperative with the NFL. He's the
Why,
one
why,
that
why should he get a private phone to a? God, I have to hold
They
my
didn't ask
words
him to
back.
do that. They had.
Goodell.
They had.
This. He also has to speak for all the other players in the league. Do you, Nighthawk, want to give your phone to your employer?
They didn't ask him to do that.
This is not a federal
Yeah, I'll let
case. This is a murder. This is just a kangaroo court. And one player, did they ask Ray Rice to hand over his phone? It's a kangaroo
Yeah.
court.
But caller,
this
also
is just a terrible CBA decision.
people are thinking he did this to Deflategate just during the Indianapolis game. This was an ongoing thing during the season.
The
And-
only people who complained were the Ravens and the Colts because the Patriots, and again, I don't even like the Patriots. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I want to beat them. This is the Ravens and the Colts because they're not good enough to beat the Patriots,
Well-
who, again, I don't care about.
Okay,
I'm a Cowboy fan.
my final
but
thing-
This is sour grapes.
Jerry Jones.
Get better.
Jerry,
Get a better quarterback. Get a better
Yeah.
coach. Get better players.
well, for Tom Brady, follow the rules. Jerry Jones said today that justice was served. And I will cede my time because Duke.
I'm a Cowboys fan, and I will not listen to Jerry Jones
So
telling me how a football team is
Did you
run.
guys,
I've
happen
been
to
watching
see-
for the last 17 years since he got rid of Jimmy Johnson. So Jerry Jones is not a guy that I'm going to listen to as to how to run
Well,
a
This
franchise.
caller is a very smart person.
well, but you know what? And I will debate you on that because he's about the only one I'm hearing that Brady's did not get the fair
Brady,
punishment.
this thing
For the
is
record, I think he
crap.
can beat up on the NFL very easily, but I hardly see Brady's not looking like it. I think Brady's looking real bad. And
See,
Brady's taking a beating. Don't think the Boston folks are homers. I just showed you Shaughnessy's column.
So you're calling this
Brady's
caller
taking
brilliant?
a beating.
This caller here is expounding my feelings 100%.
About Deflategate.
Thank you, Dave.
Number one,
So Brady, you have no problem with how Brady's acting?
absolutely not. Number one,
I sure do.
I'm more worried that Giselle had to go and wear a burqa while she went and got her breasts enhanced
Okay.
in Switzerland or somewhere. But number one, the only record they have of Brady talking about the air in the balls is he told the guy to put him at 12 and a half. This whole thing is all so contrived. Even Kraft today.
Why did the Patriots fire the two ball
They
guys?
didn't
out of
fire them.
They didn't fire them?
They suspended them from the team, but they put them on the soccer team, the MLS soccer team. They still have a job.
This craft.
Right. Well, they don't have a job with the
Yeah,
Patriots.
yeah.
Why did they remove them from the Patriots?
think-
if the Patriots did nothing wrong,
Yeah.
why would they go after two
I'm thinking-
underlings?
I'm thinking that well, really, just to show you that I can think in both directions. I'm thinking that either Brady is innocent and he's just so disgusted and so appalled at how much trouble this whole thing has been, or two, he's taken the A-Rod defense and he's doing scorched earth, and a year from now he'll say, "Oh yeah, I guess I
That's
did."
what it sounds like. I mean, he blew it. I heard so many people say today, as you've heard all along, had Brady said right in the beginning, yeah, you know, I do kind of like throwing with kind of, you know, relatively soft footballs, had he said something out front and acknowledged something, all this BS would be
Absolutely.
wouldn't
But
have happened.
But maybe
I think
he
he is.
didn't.
He's just digging in ever deeper now.
Yeah.
And you know what?
We're digging deeper into
But
something
he's killing,
that
and he's
doesn't
killing.
even
Hey, he
exist.
may be clear to
That's
this.
my
The
point.
court of public
This is a
opinion's killing
non-issue,
him.
28-0 with the air quote
Right,
properly
but
deflated
but
balls.
caller,
It's
if
not
you-
an advantage.
Fine,
They
if you're Tom-
scorch them, and they scorch them every year. Andrew Luck has never beaten Tom Brady. And I don't like the Patriots. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm just saying, I can't believe 6 months later, Roger Goodell is he's an idiot. 6 months with a punky ball.
Well, I'm
Brady
a
lost
Months with
Patriots
punky ball,
fan.
And you got people beating women and putting guns against their heads.
And they get the
this is
same
where
number.
we're
Yeah,
at.
it's wrong.
This guy's an idiot. He's out of his. The guy's going to go. CFO. Put him in a cubicle with a computer and a calculator. He's brilliant. He's an idiot with the judicial system, and he's a lawyer, believe it or not.
He's a phony baloney. And I'll tell you what else. If this ball thing was anything, why are they all of a sudden now having rules with the balls? I think what Brady's most offended at is that this is all making a crime after he did it. It wasn't a crime when he did it. And if you didn't want the quarterbacks to handle the balls and you didn't want the teams to have their own balls, why do you let the teams have the balls? The referees could have them. We talked about this before.
No, the NFL should be shot.
This
This
is
never
just
should have happened, but
all
it did.
wrong.
But David,
it did.
you and the caller, the only part you're right is this is nothing case. But Mr. Duke is 100% correct. If Tom Brady just said, "You're right, the weather's cold, I like a little softer, I deflate." You know what? As an avid fan, a lunatic fan, I would have said, "Yeah, I can relate to that." As I said on the show, I got hands like a woman here. If I was in NFL, I would try to deflate the ball. It's nothing, but he turned it into something, AKA Watergate, AKA Martha Stewart, when she didn't cooperate with the feds.
Roger Goodell turned this
Yeah.
into
I think
Watergate.
they both
I-
did.
I am
They both
Dallas
did.
Cowboy. I love Tony Romo. I'm not a Brady boy. I love Tony Romo. But what I'm saying is Goodell, this guy, he could not properly direct a 2-car funeral. Okay? He has proven this over and over the last several years. And this is so embarrassing to the league, and it's so turning me off to the league. And I've shut the NHL off pretty much since a strike that they had no legs financially to stand on to begin with, and now I'm starting to get into this NFL thing. This is so embarrassing. It's so unnecessary. It's so trivial. Roger Goodell, he just so bungled everything before and I don't even call it Deflategate. That is such another media misnomer. It's just BS. But
Well, caller-
now he's trying to cover up his other 8 mistakes before with Brady. This is the most embarrassing, upsetting, unnecessary issue I've ever seen. And I'm 52 years old. I've been watching the NFL for 42 years, and I've never seen anything so utterly unimportant and embarrassing. And Goodell needs a cubicle. Just give him a calculator and do the bean counting. He's great with money, but this guy's an idiot.
Thanks, caller.
All right, guys.
Good night.
Thanks for calling.
David, and again, okay, does your wife bake? Does she ever bake cookies?
Occasionally.
When your kids were younger, did she ever bake cookies?
Yeah, still
Okay.
does.
Did she ever maybe bake 24 chocolate chip cookies and tell the kids don't touch them? And then when Dave gets home from work and you shower and sit down to a nice supper, and your lovely wife says, "Hi, I've got your favorite Dave chocolate chip cookies. I got 24." Then she counts them. There's 23. Okay. Then it's Bud. Okay, Bud, did you take the cookie?
No.
Then you find out Bud actually took the cookie. Are you more upset that Bud took the cookie or Bud lied to you?
You're
And this is pretty much what happened to Tom Brady. This is was a non-issue. Duke is right, and as few times him and I agree on stuff, he's right. All he had to say, "You're right, I did deflate it," we would have laughed.
But-
The concern about that was the Patriots haters are so legion, saying anything. I mean, he might have been, maybe he thought about doing that, but might have thought, even if I say anything, they're going to be all over me. But
See,
they've played this very poorly.
I think
Aside from what an idiot.
I
Goodell may
think
be.
that poor Tom Brady. This whole thing, all of this stuff.
we got
have
to
a
call. Dave.
call.
We'll come
Oh, we
back.
got to call.
David, you sound like a Massachusetts bleeding heart liberal tonight.
I'm not. I'm not.
Good evening. You're on the best damn sports show in Franklin County. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. I think Bud should have taken 2 cookies since he was going to get caught anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you know what, caller? There's such a thing in the law.
I really didn't follow
I did.
this whole Brady thing too much. I mean, just the headlines. I didn't get into the depth of it. I think it was pretty much it was what it was for face value. But and I don't know, but was there not a lot of people, former high-profile players, in favor of this suspension for Brady?
A lot of high.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of the
Oh,
talking
yeah,
heads.
there-
They all think it's legit.
Yeah, I think most of the people I've
there
heard
is,
thought.
there is a devil's advocate here. There's 2 sides, and personally, I think it's a bunch of baloney. You know, I mean, there's a lot worse things that are done, but and as the previous caller said, you know, it's kind of blown out of proportion, and it looks pretty bad. Especially, wasn't there another player that had his suspension cut in half, and recently
I think that
for
was
domestic abuse?
Yeah, I think that was the aforementioned Greg Hardy. But again, getting back to Duke, and he's my hero tonight.
Then the
Uh,
cover-up had Brady had
If
had
he
the
admitted
cell
to a
phone thing
caller,
not
I'm guessing it was going to be a pusillanimous $250,000 fine, and don't do it again. And that was the end of it. We would have talked about it on
Yeah.
a Wednesday night, and you would have forgotten about it Thursday morning, and that would have been the end of it.
Well, I think
But you know, I'm not a lawyer, but don't you always plead innocent in the beginning? I mean, you don't ever a murderer or a carjacker. You never go to court and say I did it the first time,
well,
do you?
Yeah,
can.
you're pretty
And
much
I
right
think
about
there's
that.
a process for this. You know, it's rather evident that it's going to be a nitpicking league now, or for certain teams, you know. But anyways, enough about that. I want to move on there and kind of beat Nighthawk up a little bit there over a guy called Papelbon. I don't know if you spoke about him yet.
Thank
No,
you,
I just
caller. That was
came
on
into the house
my
here.
mind too.
And for years and years, who's stupid enough to pay Papelbon this money? Why, that guy is getting more money.
Thank
so
you, caller.
I kind of had to make this call and throw this back at you. And the difference is, all these previous years, people were in the pennant race that paid that big money, and you were sitting on the sidelines for so many years watching other people's teams, and now maybe, you know, that you're in the pennant race, you can kind of see where these owners are coming from a little bit. And I think, too, this year, a good place to put your money is on relief pitching. Kansas City last year throughout the playoffs gave a clinic in the 7th, 8th, to 9th inning. That's what, you know, their starters went 6th, and they brought that strong bullpen in, and, you know, just won game after game. And a good thing with a reliever over a starter, your relievers can come in 2 or 3 times a week and perform, where your starter comes in 1 time a week. So you heard it here first. Good
Look,
money's on the relievers this
Caller,
year.
Thank you, caller. That's a
let
fair
me-
thing to bring
Let
up.
me just go to the callers. The financial aspect of this is the Nats are only paying the prorated minimum salary. the Phils are paying the rest of the salary for the year.
What
They
about,
gave
don't
up
they
his-
have what about doesn't he have an option next year?
Well,
What about next
okay.
They
year?
made a deal with him for
It was
next
a
year.
$13 vested option if he hit so many
All right,
games.
$13 or $13 million?
13 million.
Okay.
So what they did is they negotiated down to 11 million and negotiated even more. The Nats are only giving him 8 million next year.
The Phillies are throwing in 3?
Nope, the Nats will defer the other 3 million for a number of years.
But I mean, he gets, so he'll
He's
get
still
11.
getting his 11
Right.
He'll get
But
11 mil.
to the caller's point about the bull,
Which is still about 3 or 4 times what you say you should
Yeah,
ever play
right.
a closer for the
but
record.
what
right?
happened with the Nationals was not the ninth inning closer. Drew Storen was 29 for 31 with a 1.34,
Something ERA.
really good. However, it's the
Setup guy
Tyler,
wasn't any
it's the
good?
Tyler Clippard trade. We got Yunel Escobar, who's been great for us this year at third base. We got Papelbon for the 8th inning, although he's pitching the 9th. Storen will now be the
Setup guy.
guy. And let me tell you, he's extremely, extremely
But who-
unhappy.
I bet he is.
because-
But what about your old set? Who was doing who was the setup guy?
Ref Soriano,
And what's the story with him?
they signed him for 2 years. His contract was up. Nobody signed him all winter, all spring.
But he's on the team.
No,
now.
he's on Chicago Cubs minor league team.
Okay, but who has
Drew
been doing?
Storen.
But I thought he was a closer.
No, but
No.
who is your
Oh,
8th inning guy?
Who's
Who's
eighth
been
inning
the setup
guy?
guy?
Of late,
And he hasn't been doing.
the first couple, but they wanted to go in the playoffs. The downside on Drew Storen, he's been in the playoffs twice, and last year, if you remember, brilliant Matt Williams, Zimmerman gives up a hit in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and they bring in Storen, he got lit up like a Christmas tree. And the caller's right, Papelbon's big time overpaid. He's had a terrific season. He's
Had a terrific career.
he's had a terrific career. I think he's 30. How old is
He's
he?
not a young guy.
34, 35.
35, yeah. So
Yeah,
now,
but this guy's in fabulous shape.
Oh,
And
yeah.
What he's going to bring to the table is years of experience and that bulldog attitude.
Yeah, and-
He's very intimidating. The guy will do nothing but help you out.
right,
Well,
You've
he's
got-
changed.
And, really, the Mets are right on your
Zimmerman and Jason Worth came back, and Denard Span should be back in another week or two, along with Steven Strasburg. Yeah, have we had a great year? Absolutely not, but they've done extremely well under the circumstances of losing all these frontline players. We're, as I've been saying every week, we're extremely fortunate to be playing in a very bad division. But, kudos to the Mets. They've got a great, great young pitching staff, and now we know why they picked up Tyler Clippard. I didn't have a clue. They didn't need Clippard. They had this.
Picked him up so you couldn't get him.
No, well, they picked him up. This Henry's Mihaha, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
caller.
absolutely, David.
Okay,
That's right.
He's been he's their setup guy. He's been terrific, and
He's-
Uris Familia has been a great closer for. Well, lo and behold, the day after they pick up Clippard, they announced he's out for 162 games. So they were forced into the trade. Now, if you would have asked me last week, what are the Nats are going to do? They're going to make a trade with the Oakland A's, get Clippard and Ben Zobrist. But yeah, and
Yeah, Zobrist, he just went to Kansas City as well.
Yeah.
Cueto went there and Zobrist.
Yeah.
What I
Kansas
love
City's
about
going all
Zobrist,
in.
the guy can play any position.
yeah.
He's probably one of the best utility ball players in the league, if not the best.
Yeah, and
I won't keep you guys long tonight. I'm going to throw a name at you and see if it means anything to you. Mike Hessman.
Mike Hessman was a pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Is that correct?
Means nothing to me.
Am I right?
No.
Mike.
This is kind of funny, but this guy, he just tied the minor league record with his 430 around.
Wow,
he's
he's-
been up to the major leagues just a little bit, but most of his career is down there, and he's on 1 home run from breaking the record.
Wow.
But isn't that something? 37 years old and
Crash Davis.
having a very good minor league. The guy must love baseball and
Yeah.
pretty efficient down there.
A
so
minor league lifer.
I
yeah,
thought
that's
that was pretty cool.
That's probably about field days.
Now, caller, do you have any interest of the Franklin County Field Days?
I haven't been there the last few years, but I used to go every year, and it was always a great time.
Great
A
event.
lot of good things happening up there.
Very
and
nice
the
events.
best thing about those running into people, you don't see that often anymore.
Yeah.
The social part of it is fantastic.
If you have young kids, you realize
Yeah.
that.
Caller, I'm going to
anyway.
give you 4 tickets, and I will personally deliver them to you because I think I know who you are. Answer the question. What kind of vehicle is used in Swamp Run? Used in the.
Buggy.
It starts with A. All.
A truck.
ATV?
You got it, caller. I'll give 4 tickets your way. I'm supposed to get a book to your wife anyway, so I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Caller, if you like car, the demo derby starts things off tomorrow. The demo derby is tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you a sad love story about the Franklin County Field Days after I get done with this caller.
Yeah.
So, thank you, caller.
Okay, guys, and I will let you go, and have a great evening.
Thanks for calling.
Dave?
Thanks. I was going to bring up Papelbon.
August 20th, 1977, I met a girl at the Field Days in Fairfax, fell deeply in love with her, and I was with her for 2.5 years, and she left me and broke my heart, and I was like a zombie for a year. And rather verbose person today, but I wasn't this way when I was younger, and I didn't have all the
Charm and
because I
savoir-faire.
grew up with 4 brothers, so other than my dear sweet mother, I just wasn't used. So I didn't have the gift of gab, and every year the Field Days come up, I always remember that date. And just one real quick story. Remember I told you guys last week I played golf on the previous Monday at the Apple Island Resort.
Apple Island Resort, South
And when I
Hero.
grabbed those 4 cans of Coors Light and I paid $5.60 for them,
Yeah.
well, I played up in Enosburg on Monday, grabbed 4 beers. That was $13.
Yeah, that's-
Okay, so it was back to reality, like real quick. So, okay,
Did you have? I ate at the.
Well-
I ate at the club. Did you have some food there?
I didn't. I just me
What
myself.
they're doing is that the Tigers are going to reboot.
Let me guess. They're sellers.
They are selling all of their guys that are going to
Wow.
be free agents.
Really.
So Price, there's big talk. The Yankees are in on Price big time.
Wow.
Then of course you
Cespedes has had a great year for the Tigers.
Has he?
He's a free agent, so he will be leaving.
What about what's Verlander's situation? Is he still under
Verlander pitched
contract?
today? He won. Oh, Verlander, they're stuck with him for
Yeah.
about 5 more years.
Yeah, it's a good word, stuck.
This whole silly season has really gotten interesting now. These next couple of days, of course, there's a lot of talk that the
Cole Hamels. Cole
that
is
the
still with
Phillies-
the Phillies as we speak.
that the Phillies have overplayed their hand,
Yes,
Right.
we said that back in
and
April.
that maybe they should have. But even just in the last couple of days, they should
Dodgers.
have.
I'm hearing still a lot of Dodgers.
There's
talk
a
for
lot of
Hamels.
well now that Price
Rangers.
is in
Rangers.
there, the Hamels is Dodgers,
Rangers.
Rangers,
Yankees.
no Cubs, Red Sox.
Okay, let me.
Red
I found out before the show that the Red Sox, in fact, were on the 20 team. I don't want to be traded to list
Oh, is that right?
for whatever reason.
Out of 20, he's got 20 teams.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is he big time wants to pitch with the Dodgers. Whether that happens or not.
Why now,
Now,
wouldn't
did the
you?
Texas Rangers give up 21 runs last night to the
Yeah,
Yankees?
yeah, they
Is that
look.
the Rangers?
Yeah,
What, 11 runs in the second inning for the Yanks?
yeah,
That must
and
have-
last inning, position player pitched,
Yeah.
and Brett Gardner hit a home run. And somebody said, "Well, don't you feel guilty?" He goes, "No, I don't feel guilty. The guy's trying to get me out."
I feel guilty.
Duke, just to make you feel a little bit better, with that 21-run outburst on the Rangers last night, that supplanted the Boston Red Sox from having the worst pitching staff in the
really?
league. The Rangers are now at 4.54, and the Bo Sox are 4.49.
Well, stay tuned. When I left the Red Sox this evening, it was 3-0 Chicago
Okay,
in the,
stay tuned.
in
Well,
the second
the
inning.
the reason for the Red Sox being interested in Cole Hamels is they figure if they can pick up Cole Hamels
Yes.
and then next year, not next year, but this winter, get one of the prize free
Yes.
agents, Johnny Cueto or Price,
Jordan Zimmerman.
Zimmerman, any one of those guys.
Hey, maybe they're
now
back
they've got
in
two.
business.
Now they
David,
got two
and
good
that's
starters.
the tune I've been humming all summer. You get Hamels not for this year. He's got 4 years left on his contract at a measly million. I think the Red Sox
Measly.
are going to pick up a top-notch pitcher over the winter, maybe a Zimmerman, and you keep your fingers crossed that Clay Buchholz one of these years is going to stay healthy.
God,
and
why-
pitch
why would
to-
you-
I know,
why
I know,
would you
I know.
ever think that?
I'm playing the law of averages.
It sounds like
here.
he's gone for the season
He's
now, probably.
yeah,
done now, yeah.
yeah.
It's unbelievable how, again, decent season. He got it going pretty well. That guy is so fragile. It's unbelievable.
He's a mess.
Hey, but before I forget, I meant to bring this up. This is really weird. Don Orsillo, I guess I read this. I guess he had maybe a contract was a little tough negotiating
That
going
would be
back a
the
year or
announcer
two.
on
As in the
Netflix for the
Red Sox play-by-play TV
One of
guy.
the very best in the
Right.
business.
Guess what he did after the All-Star break? Tell me how weird this is. Guess who took a week's vacation?
Oh, Bob Carpenter for my team took a
How
vacation.
is that right? That's not
That's
totally
normal.
weird.
You know
That's
why?
normal?
I read about that.
Boy, I'm not sure. You're
Nesson
going to tell
has
me
a
John
policy,
Sterling takes a week off here
No.
and there?
but
I wouldn't say it's normal.
Orsillo didn't want to.
Didn't want
Nesson made him,
to? Why?
and just like they're going to make Remy take a week
Yep.
off
Why?
because
why?
they think that
I agree with that
it's
policy.
part of this
burnout.
They want.
What?
Burnout. You burn out if you're doing the game every.
They
just
want.
Stay away from
I'm
baseball
not
for
sure
a
I
week.
noticed that, but
Well, you get 162 games. You probably do get sick of it.
Yeah, exactly.
oh really? So the
And-
Red Sox
and
supposedly
The Red
wanted
Sox
this?
made him take that
Right.
week
and
off.
how much fun is Don
He
Orsillo?
picked a good week. He missed not one win. He picked a
No.
good week
Yeah.
to take.
Now, Bob Carpenter just took the first
Really?
series off, and
Is
I
that
think
right?
he does that every year. And I would tell these guys, you have to take a vacation at mid-season.
I'm just used to hearing these guys every game and
I've
stuff.
never seen a team's announcers take it, but sometimes you know they once in a
Interesting.
while they.
I mean, Remy's had illness
Yeah.
issues, not to mention his kid's situation.
Now,
but,
I have some baseball questions
interesting.
for you guys. David, the Yanks, kudos. It looks like
Oh,
they're
they're-
going to win the division.
Well, way to go,
However,
Mr. Dave.
David, when are they going to yank CC out of the rotation? He's terrible. All his stats are crying. I'm lousy.
He's had one good
Adam
game.
Warren should be taking Sabathia's spot. Let me tell you about Sabathia.
He's terrible.
He's got a 5.38 ERA with 1.41. We're just 48 hours away from August, and they're still pitching this
His
guy.
biggest problem is he just gives up way too many home runs.
And let me ask you this: if they keep him in the rotation for the next 2 months, if he continues in the same way, he looks like a possible candidate to be left off the roster
It's possible.
for the playoffs.
And you know who's and I'll give credit where credit's due. You said he was pretty good. I'll tell you who's really come around is Evaldi. Last game, 8 innings, 1 run, and I think this Rothschild that the Yankees have
Larry Rothschild, pitching coach.
is probably he may be the best pitching coach in the business because he's taken a lot of these reclamation projects, just like the guy they had last year, McCarthy, was pitching lousy. He goes on the Yankees and he pitched great.
Yeah.
Evaldi is turned into something halfway decent. Hey, a guy with I guess what he's picked up, they've got him working on, and it's been lethal, is a split finger, and because he's got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, but I guess it's pretty straight.
Now the Yankees pitching is actually 10th in the league with 3.93.
Take CC out of there,
Yeah.
and it's pretty
And
good.
I'll tell you the biggest thing in talking about whistling a different tune, you this year from last year, the Yankees are second in the American League in scoring runs. And if I'm not mistaken, as we sat here at this time last year, I think they were second to last in
Yeah.
scoring runs. What a turnaround they
Wow,
had.
who'da ever, and this is why you can't really put the Red Sox in the toilet for too long, because who'da ever in a million years ever thought that Teixeira and A-Rod were going to be so good as they
I
are
mean,
this year?
Teixeira's maybe, you might have expected him. A-Rod's got to be a huge surprise.
A-Rod's it's a tremendous surprise.
David, if I told you before the season, this is what I thought he was going to do, 15 and 60, 15 home runs, 60, and I said that would have been okay for a 40-year-old man. What an inspiration this guy
He's
is.
really,
And he's gotten a lot of big home runs this year too.
He's done great. Teixeira to me has been super. His fielding is so good. He makes that infield so much
Yeah.
better. And that was the one thing, you know, there's so many. That's a great thing with baseball. There's so many things you look at their outfield between
Now, one thing I found.
Gardner and
Do you know how old Gardner is, David?
Gardner's like 32.
I think I read 34, but he might be. I just thought he was like 27.
No, Gardner was on the Yankees' last World Series team in 09,
Really?
but he was just a part. He was a
Okay.
fourth outfielder.
Okay.
And Gardner's an interesting story because all the way up, coming up through, everybody figured him to be just a speed guy, and he's really worked on his hitting. And of course, he is an excellent fielder. And Ellsbury is really a super duper fielder. So between those two, their outfield's pretty good. Dave DeGregorius has really turned the corner. His fielding is great. Headley's been hitting. Every question mark the Yankees have had this year, with the exception of CC, have all been in their favor. Everyone.
I'll tell you, it looks really funny. Brendan Ryan wearing a mustache.
Yeah, and he's got a
In
big
this-
old
In
1890s
this day
one.
and age, with these ISIS-type beards that
Yeah.
these players, he looks very funny with that mustache.
Of course, the Yankees are the only team that has this facial hair thing, which is what I would do.
So, David, the most disgusting thing I've seen all baseball season, and I'm sure Duke is going to chime in on this one, Saturday night's game. Big Papi, only making, $16 million a year, hits a ground ball to the pitcher. Dave, I started playing organized
saw it.
baseball at age 8.
This means
the
nothing
first
to me.
thing I was taught, hustle, run, everything out. Okay, coach, no problem.
So did he hardly
He
move?
hits it to the pitcher. It wasn't even a fast walk, his jog to the pitcher. The pitcher fumbled the ball, dropped it. Papi saw it and started running first. It was the loudest booing the Fenway
Oh, is that
crowd
right?
ever gave
I
Papi.
hadn't
And
even heard
so
about
I'm
that.
telling my buddy Joe last night on the golf course, what a great manager I am. I said, not only would I set him down on Sunday, I would have pulled him out of the game to embarrass him, and I would have sent him home and say, this is not the way you're going to play for me and my team. So,
And had you done that, maybe a
Right.
good movie. Probably he
So-
might have killed somebody in the dugout
okay,
like he
so
almost did a couple
what
of years
happened
ago.
Sunday? The Nighthawks not managing, you have John Farrell. So after that disgrace, just pathetic what he did Saturday, he turns around on Sunday, gets 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. And-
Well, hey, that's
and
today's
he,
player.
And he had to come out and tip his cap to the.
Well,
but the guy's disgusting.
Well, on top of that, in a doubleheader with the Angels, they lost the first game. They didn't score a run. The second game, they're losing 8-0. Hits a 2-run home run and he Cadillacs it.
Yeah, we talked about that
That
last
was-
week. That was
Is that,
terrible.
is that a new term? I've never heard that.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Yeah, it's been around.
And then, of course, so while we're beating up on Ortiz, and I'm happy to join in, this guy, yeah, part of me dislikes David Ortiz quite a bit. Then it was classic. I guess it was an interview. He was playing a little bit of first base when they were last playing National League team. He had played first base, and he doesn't play a terrible first base.
Well, he's okay.
But that subject came up, and I think he said something like in like a pregame interview, well, it'd be nice if I could just concentrate on hitting, and they don't torture me with throwing me out at first base. I mean, it just sounded so petty.
Well, I still believe when he went home with that 104-degree fever, I believe Farrell had him penciled
Last
in as
game
a
before
first
the
baseman.
All-Star
Yes,
game.
and he saw the lineup, and I bet they got into it, and he sent him
Well,
home.
who knows? The season's long, and there's a lot of that
Yeah.
goes on. The other thing, somebody told me once, or I read it somewhere, that when it comes to running out ground balls, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. They only have 4 at-bats.
David.
4
all right,
at-bats.
listen.
4 times you
Doesn't
got to run
seem
90
like
feet.
it's
Chip
asking
Carey.
too much.
Chip Carey was doing the Braves game. The Nats were playing the Braves. Bryce Harper, the golden boy, hit a ball to whoever in the infield. Barely ran it out. And this is Mr. Intense. And Chip goes, my grandfather. He didn't say Harry Carey, because, of course, his dad was probably
Oh,
the best
then I got
all-time.
it from you,
Skip,
yeah.
Skip Carey was, to me, the Atlanta Brave,
right.
the all-time greatest. But his grandfather, Harry Carey, says they're being paid to run 360 feet, minimum. That's not 90 feet 4 times a game. That's
Doesn't-
the least you can expect to. I would never shame myself. I don't care
Yeah.
where I hit the ball. You run it out. But in my last baseball
Well, on
thing,
that play that you mentioned, Had Ortiz been running, would he have made it to first
Probably
possibly?
not. Probably not.
Irrelevant, I'm just curious.
Because he runs like he has a refrigerator strapped to his back. And lastly,
it's pathetic.
this is one person I forgot all about, Dustin Pedroia. There would be a guy I would try.
I hate hamstring injuries. Those guys
right.
just seem to linger forever.
Right, they do. But correct me if I'm wrong. He signed a 6-year contract within the last year.
No. I think
years
it goes
ago.
back maybe even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was quite a. It was
How
a
many
while
years,
ago.
Duke, does he have remaining on his
I'd
contract?
say I'd guess a couple,
Oh, just
three.
a couple. Okay. Because
think.
I was thinking
No,
he
he
was like
signed
on
that
the
contract
first
a
year
while ago.
on there. So
No, a
okay.
while
Now
ago.
I was bugging all of my Red Sox friends at work. That I said, why don't you guys, because you're out of it, why don't you give us Pedroia?
See, I think you
That
were
before.
brilliant last week.
And
That-
what do we get for giving you Pedroia?
We'll give you Brendan Ryan.
Be serious.
Yeah.
Pedroia.
They'll
yeah.
never. The Yankees can't make a big deal with the Red Sox because if it goes sour in either way, the
Well, you
fans
got-
would never let you.
You got Jacoby, obviously, as a free agent. You grabbed Jacoby.
Well, free agent's a little different.
Okay, I know it's July.
Johnny Damon. There's a list of players, but free agent.
I know it's July 29th, but I'm about ready to announce my Time Person of the Year. And the winner for the 2015 Man of the Year goes to the mayor of Boston.
I think person
Mr.
of the year, Hawk.
or
I
Person
think they
of the Year.
bagged Man
Sorry,
of the Year a while ago.
goes to Mr.
No, you
Marty
wanna be.
Walsh, the mayor of Boston, who in their right mind would want to take the Olympics into their city. You can always take the price of what it's going to cost,
Jean Drapeau would.
right,
Dead.
and multiply by 3 is how much of that Olympics are going to. Now, speaking of the Olympics, literally it was 2006 when the Montreal finally paid off the Olympics.
Sounds about right.
30 years.
Now, this is a crazy idea. Voices as disparate as Dan Shaughnessy and Howie Carr both thought this was an
Yeah.
insane
Call, boys.
idea.
Good evening. You're on the best damn sports show in Franklin County. Hello.
Reggie, what's going on?
Hi, Bob. How are you, my friend?
Good. Okay, you guys are driving me up a wall. Why in the world would the Red Sox ever give the Yankees Pedroia, and how can you call David genius for that?
Oh, because
I'm hearing some inaccurate recounting
okay,
of what
the
we said,
reason, Bob,
believe.
I would give Davis the genius label on that. That is the missing link of the New York Yankees. Now,
But what team has ever traded interdivision?
I remember the New York Yankees
Happened.
and the
How long
Boston
ago?
and the Boston Red Sox in 1970. The Yankees,
Okay, great. 1970.
Danny
Nowadays,
Kater
Danny
for-
it's
Kater
not
for
gonna
Sparky
happen.
Lyle, and Sparky Lyle went on to have a great career with the Yankees.
We were talking 1970s. We're talking 40 years ago.
45 years ago. You are correct, Bob.
This
Yeah,
wasn't
my
a
math's not too
serious
bad.
discussion, I don't
Yeah.
think.
Now, the truth be told, and I'm not trying to be mean to the Red Sox fans, but I don't see this team winning in the next few years.
The Red Sox? No, the way that they're going right now, I'd have to agree
And
with
even with Pedroia, and I will kind of mirror his image with Cole Hamels. As good as Cole Hamels is, he did nothing for the Phils this year. They're going to finish in last with or without Cole, and I think the Red Sox are last place team with or without Dustin. And if the Yankees they have a couple good prospects in their minor leagues, would give up a legit body, I could see it happening. But
you. See, I
you're,
can't
you're,
see that because you're talking Yankees to Red Sox. It's
in the,
never
you're
gonna
right.
happen.
You have the correct answer. The Yankees and Red Sox rivalry would never allow that.
Caller, I think if you notice, I said just before you called, I said it'll never happen because if it were to turn out wrong for either team, you never be forgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you said it last week too, so you must obviously believe it might happen.
But no, it's just one of my special deals. I think the what I'm saying is they'd be doing Pedroia a favor because the Red Sox are going to be terrible for so much longer until they. I'm beginning to agree with Fitzy. I think the ownership's bad. I think they're Farrell's lousy, and Charrington hasn't got a clue. He's way in over his head.
Caller, you want to rebut some of that, or
No, I mean he's absolutely right about Sherrington being over his head. That's not what I was
right?
disputing. I was
So
disputing
what do you
that
do?
a crazy fantasy baseball trade like that would never ever happen.
He wasn't.
The
he
other
wasn't
part I wanted to
serious.
get to was you guys patting the back of Mr. A-Rod, and I had a pretty interesting conversation with one of my friends from the Capital Region down in New York. He's a big sports reporter there. and he was talking to me about, have you ever seen A-Rod hit these many home runs where he wasn't disputed about being on steroids? And I got to kind of think, he's doing it again.
Oh, he's probably got better. He's got good juice. He's got the same juice
He's
Big
got some
Papi
really
had in
good
the World
juice
Series.
under the radar juice, because this guy's hitting like he's 21 again.
How many homer? Over 20?
25.
25?
He was suspected of taking PEDs while he was in high school down in Miami.
All right.
Oh, I believe
So
it.
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially high school guys, because
You'd think.
they're
I mean,
under such pressure to get bigger.
Yeah, you'd think I mean, presumably he's clean now. I mean, this would be an amazing move if he was on this.
Hey, he can't be any dumber than that guy the Mets had. I mean, he just barely got back, and a week later he's
Yeah, he did it again.
Yeah.
so. But
It's as if he
A-Rod,
was ever clean in the first place, though.
So, Bob, what about the Red? Are you getting any joys or any? Is there anything worth the Red Sox worth dealing with at this point?
Well, you guys got your dream tonight, Rick. You got JBJ playing in center field and Rusty Castillo out there as well. I mean, you got everything you could possibly want tonight,
Right,
except for
because
Hanley Ramirez still in left
Mookie's
field.
right. Because my boy JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr.
It was only up because the regular starting center
Right.
fielder is hurt.
Now
Mookie's
Mookie
hurt?
He's
made
out
a
for a
great
week.
play on that ball.
Yeah,
That was
He made an amazing play.
That
like,
was-
you
that
know,
was
a really
incredible.
great
He's a
center
fearless.
field
He's
play.
fearless. Too fearless.
Now,
it was a great play.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley Jr. was hitting down in Rhode Island, Pawtucket 305. Okay, I don't even have to utter any verbiage about his defensive play, the
Right.
best. Okay, this is the time now, as you're
Right.
what, 12, 13
play
games
him.
out,
Play him.
him every day.
And
And
the
I'm
same
telling
with
you, Bob,
Castillo.
if you don't want him, I will take him on my team for next season.
Oh yeah.
About
play him. Play him.
What do you do?
But like I said, I never disputed him playing on the team. I disputed moving Mookie Betts from center field to put him on the team.
No, I
that
would-
I don't agree with.
No, put Betts in right because Bradley is a better outfielder and Betts is very good.
If you were a better outfielder, batting whatever you say, 305 down in the minors, guess where he'd be playing on a regular basis? Center field. He wouldn't be down in the minors.
Well, he only hits 190 in the majors. That's his problem.
You could, what you could do if you give us Pedroia, you could put Betts back at second.
Yeah, there you go.
you go.
You know what? That's a very good point. I've been meaning to. Is Betts capable of playing a good second base?
Oh, he was.
he was
I
a second
assume.
baseman.
Look how good he is in center with no
right.
experience.
So you have a in-house
athlete.
replacement. Then you can put Bradley in center
But
field.
again,
well, your
they-
in-house replacement at second is what's his face? Is,
Brock Holt.
Brock Holt's
Yeah.
value
Plus, they just traded the guy they traded for Shane Victorino's an
is
infielder
a
who
nothing.
He's
but-
a-
yeah, he's
somebody,
also a minor. he's
somebody
an
who could
infielder,
they
right?
throw in there, right?
Yep. So
He's a nothing.
Yeah.
No, you're
He's a
right.
Nothing. I thought he was batting almost 300 down in the minors.
No, the guy that you got for
Rutledge,
Victorino.
Josh Rutledge.
Josh Rutledge.
He's just a bench player.
Oh, okay.
Sounds
I
like
thought he
him.
was. I thought he was a regular
Yeah,
infielder.
and trust me, when you make trades, we mentioned earlier about Papelbon. The Nats traded their 12th rated pitcher, which means he'll never see the light of day. He's a Canadian
For Papelbon?
for Papelbon. He was nothing. This was a pure salary
Sure.
dump.
Sure.
And again, the only difference, like with Hamels, is you've got him for 4 more seasons. He's a
Yeah.
value. When you pick up a Johnny Cueto, a David Pierce, you have him for 2 months, and
I
hopefully
thought Cueto was over in Kansas City.
he
now.
is in Kansas City.
But
now.
they'll never sign him.
They,
Oh, he's a rental player basically.
Yeah,
Right.
he's a rental.
yeah,
Which
I-
might get him a series. Might
I'm
get him a World
guessing
Series.
Cueto minimum this winter will be $150 million, 6 years.
That is insane to think about.
Yeah, and I have no doubt the Red Sox will end up with a David Price, a Cueto, or Jordan Zimmerman next year.
I mean, if
they
the
better
Tigers
have-
are
they
really
better get
going to be
more
on
than
the
that.
fire sale they say they're going to be, then
Well, this is where I'm kind of puzzled. Mike Ellich, the owner of
Tigers.
what
Domino
pizza?
Pizza guy.
Domino Pizza.
No, he's Little
Pop-
Caesars.
Little Caesars.
Little
thank you.
Caesars.
Sorry,
Okay,
thank you.
he's 87, 88 years
Caesars.
old. He's
86.
86, sorry, Dave. He probably has 1 foot in the grave already. What does it mean for him to have a second casket with a barrel full of money in it?
The only-
Why don't he just pay Price whatever he wants and keep bringing play?
Well,
like, Cepedas is having a terrific season too. They're going to get rid of him.
Because
trouble
even
with
with
the,
these guys, they're not a good team.
the Tigers just don't have the right mix.
The window has definitely shut on that team. Shame on them for not.
Well, I
winning.
think they're smart. If they're smart, they get rid of these guys and get some younger guys. Everybody's looking at what happens when you stick too long with your team.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Phillies.
Yep.
The Phillies are the poster child for a team that stuck around too long.
Yep.
And but the Red Sox. What do you do? What do you do with Hanley Ramirez?
Do you know his?
Well, I mean,
He's
you
hit
know.
what 100 for the month of July.
Do you know what?
No, I mean, he's.
Do you know what
he's
his on
hitting
base
okay these
percentage
days.
is, David? 311.
All right.
Horrible.
Horrible.
Anyway, but DH. I mean, you know, he's obviously could be the DH if Ortiz goes
But here
away
we
at some
are.
point.
He's getting what 22 a year.
You're
and you're
stuck with
paying
him for
a
like
DH?
5 more
Yeah.
years too.
Well, again, but DH
Ugh.
is where he'll
I
end,
still
he'll
think
end
he'll
up.
be a much better than average first baseman
You think first
for
base?
next
Let me
year.
ask you. Let me ask you guys a question. I know we talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. Who's your comeback player of the year so far?
Oh, it's got to be A-Rod.
A-Rod
Why?
obviously comes. Yeah.
Well, he didn't even play last year.
Yeah, but isn't the comeback? That's not the point of the comeback player of the year. Just because you were out a year doesn't mean that you should deserve the comeback player of the
that
year.
strikes me as a pretty impressive comeback.
And a year
Overcame the odds of adversity, and if you put yourself in that situation, how is it overcoming odds?
Yeah, but Caller,
That happens.
Caller, he did the crime and he did the time.
Yeah.
He is now a baseball player in good graces with MLB.
I mean, I think you
But
can
the,
call
but the
that a
comeback
pretty
player of the
impressive
year was
comeback.
not meant for that kind of
Yeah.
player.
Well, who knows what it was meant?
You know what, Bob, and I kind of agree with you as much pain as I say that with, because there are other players, and I don't have them top of my head, that have had very good comeback seasons. And there's going to be some resentment per what you just said. Like, should this guy really be?
All right, I'll give you one. Teixeira.
There you
Teixeira's
go.
there's an even better comeback player of the year.
What were
See,
his
I would
stats
rather
last
you
year?
say
Just how
Teixeira than
really,
to have
really
gone
bad
off the
last
rocker
year. I
with
mean,
A-Rod,
terrible
because
year
that's,
for
that's
Teixeira.
a great
Teixeira's
type
got
of player
more
that
RBIs.
has been,
I'm talking about
you know,
last year.
has
I
been
mean,
plagued with
He's hurt.
injury
Yeah, I
and
guess
been able
that
to
would
come
be-
back and put up the numbers he
Yeah.
has.
I would be
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. And quite frankly, I don't think MLB would want A-Rod as their come. I don't think they'd want any publicity. For
Nobody,
This guy.
They
hey,
don't want
they
him
all
to
They
be
might
the
know.
not
face
want
of
it. They
that
might not have
MLB
a
anyway.
choice.
They all know he's as phony as a $3 bill. All right, this whole I'm just glad to be here routine. It's it's working for him, but we all know it's all crap. He's still A-Rod, and but
But it's hard to ignore. Hard to ignore.
The results are pretty good.
So, Bob, do you still watch the Red Sox on a regular basis now?
Yeah, currently watching them now, or was watching them until I called you guys.
And what was the score at that point?
I think it was still 3-0. but I could be
3-0.
wrong.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Now, were you a lifelong? What town were you brought up in?
Stoughton, Massachusetts, about 20 minutes south of Boston. I had no choice,
about
man.
40
I'm,
about an hour
you know,
from
Red
Hingham.
Sox,
Not too
Patriots,
far.
Celtics, Bruins, through and through.
Okay.
I'm about as far. I was
Listen,
about as far from
I'm a
Boston as
diehard
Bob.
Celtic fan, so I'm going to look forward to talking to you during the winter because I get no calls pertaining to the NBA, and I love. What
And you will continue to get one from me. I think the NBA is one of the biggest jokes in professional sports.
Okay, well, I look forward to talking about that in
Your
November.
Celtics have been picking up a lot of bodies.
The Celtics look like I mean, looks like Danny. Dealer Danny. I'm pretty comfortable. Danny, I think,
This
pretty
is a
solid guy.
legitimate team. They may win 45 games this year. Somebody has to develop into a star. But I'm telling you, last year, I've never seen an NBA team hustle and work as hard as they did.
Well, you got
it's
you
kind
have
of a
to
fun
credit that
team.
to a young coach. Job for the Celtics, you got some problems.
Yeah, and the other guy that's had
Find
some
Mr.
real
Dickey.
issues.
And it sounds
Ja-
like they're very high on Mr. Dickey.
James Young, a first-round pick last year out of Kentucky, all of 19. He dogged it from everything I read last year. Just did not put the work into it this year. He may not even make the team this year.
But Dickey, the second-round pick, he led the.
Oh,
he was the
from
top shot
LSU?
blocker in college.
Very good.
It sounds like he had
should
a
have been
great
first
summer
round.
league where they just played 3 games.
But
or
like
something.
what Dave Handy said during the NBA draft, you get past the top 10, okay?
They're
From
all nothing.
11 to 32, they're all pretty much the same. When everybody went in the uproar, how did Rozier get picked out of? Was
To
it
which you say, what
Kentucky?
difference does it make?
Right, because they said they had the 28th pick.
Louisville.
Patino. They said they could have got him at the 28th pick. 28,
who cares?
16, it's all the same.
So
Dickey sounds like he might be the best of the lot,
Yeah.
actually.
So, caller, thank you so much for buzzing in.
Thank you guys for entertaining me.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Ciao for now.
Hawk, let me
Have a
mention,
good one.
I neglect Lake Monsters sometimes. They're on the road now, but coming back for 6 games. Boy, they're a very consistent team. They've had the same record, I think, for the last 3 years.
Okay.
33 and 43. Fun. I've been to a couple games, but they're back Monday night for 6 games. Actually, your Yankees affiliates are in town.
Oh,
Staten,
Staten Island?
Staten Island, and Brooklyn also with the Mets. But 6-game homestand starting next Monday, so Monday through Saturday. But good time. Always fun to get to a Lake Monsters game. But yeah, kind of having a typical season.
The Sunday, in the wee hours of Sunday morning, I checked my hourly forecast. I know you beat me up every time I tell you this.
You
So
pay
I looked at
too
my
much
hourly
attention.
forecast. And Dave, you were golfing and the member guest. It was supposed to rain Sunday afternoon. So I said, okay, I've got the Nats and Pirates playing.
But Hawk, when you say, I hate it when you even say that. You got to be more specific.
They
I
were
mean,
calling 75% chance of rain, which
okay,
is
well,
close enough for
that's
me to
close
say
enough.
it's
I'm
going
just
to
saying
rain.
a lot of times it's a chance of
Right.
75%.
So I said, how am I going to entertain
beautiful,
myself
too.
in the
right.
in the rain?
Yeah, I went to the Jig in the Valley. Jig, by about mid-afternoon, it really cleared up. and
Oh,
was
it's gorgeous.
beautiful.
So what I did is I recorded the 4th and final round of the Canadian Open. Well, lo and behold,
Of which I
the
saw
weather
just about none.
was actually really good. I think I mowed some lawns, maybe golfed 9 holes that evening.
I'm sorry, you golf when?
I didn't golf Sunday.
told me you could- you
right?
told me
No,
we
they
couldn't
did
golf.
not. I probably spent some time. I don't. But I kept outside for the day, saying what happened in the rain. So I did the Canadian Open. They only showed 3 hours, which is a lot better because when we get a major and they start like
was it as in on a major network like CBS?
CBS. It was on CBS. So I watched it. Boy,
My man won it.
that was good. And the interest for me was David Hearn, that nobody knows anything
Would have been the
about.
first
Canadian.
Canadian in what 61 years or something.
1952 or 54 to win the tournament.
61 years.
And Jason Day, who I love. He's one of my
love
favorite
Jason. He's
golfers. And what a nice guy he is.
Sorry,
and,
Tiger.
And the commentator was saying it's nice to have these young players playing so well. And not only are they good, but they're
good.
good people.
They're good people.
And
They're
that
good
was kind of
guys.
like a slam towards Tiger. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
It's quiz time.
Hit me, Fitzy.
That's
What major league team did Danny Ainge play for?
He played for the
Toronto.
Toronto Blue Jays.
yeah, Blue Jays.
Second base.
Second base or third base?
Second base.
Third base, I thought.
Second base.
I thought third. No, Nighthawk sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Did he play a lot of years?
I think he played 2 seasons.
Yeah, only 2.
I forgot
Yeah,
that.
played basketball for BYU, drafted by the Celtics, wore jersey number 44 for Boston, had a really good career.
Yeah, I'd almost forgotten that he played Major League Baseball until you guys started talking about him tonight.
I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought about him playing baseball
No,
in years.
he was
probably.
tall to be a baseball player because he's 6'6".
He would have been a good player if he stuck to it, no
He
question.
wasn't a bad baseball player.
Nope.
No.
Well, the
Red
guy,
Sox are up to their usual. They're behind 6-1.
Wow.
6'1".
Who started for him?
Wait, who was?
Priscilla.
Priscilla.
Is that right? Boy,
That'll
this,
get his ERA back over 6.
This is
And
really
he's our
painful.
$20 million baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And you got him for 4 more years.
Isn't that awful?
Oh, he's
Unreal.
awful.
Unreal.
That's another of those fantastic ownership moves.
We all play golf. Sometimes if you're just having even 9 holes can be a long 9 holes. If you're just not playing well, it's just not fun. I mean, the Red Sox. I have not given this team this little attention maybe since I was like 5 or something.
And that, Duke, is the bottom line. They're not a fun team to
In
watch.
fact, I
They
got
were
a-
a bunch of kids out there, fine.
So I just thought of a quick Red Sox story. I was at the funeral of my elderly Aunt Marion. Great lady, great life, 92 years old. Hard to beat that. In near Springfield, Mass. last Thursday. And my cousin Sarah, her Marion's daughter, did the eulogy. Great. Sarah's a sweetheart. Her husband Steve, really good guy. They live around Boston. Longtime Red Sox season ticket holders. I told him I'd mention this on the show. And he doesn't get tickets for every game, but a bunch of games. Literally, and they were going up to Maine after the funeral to take a break. They've got a camp up near Freiburg, Maine. He literally couldn't give his Saturday tickets last Saturdays away.
Yep.
That says it all.
Yep.
People used to fight for this. He'd make probably money if
Oh,
he
yeah.
wanted. He couldn't give them
I
away.
think for the 3rd time this week, the first out the Red Sox made in the inning was made at home plate.
Really?
Unheard of.
Wow.
For a major league team.
Yeah. The first out of the inning,
Wow.
made it home plate, and it's happened again tonight, and I think it's the third time this week. If they send these guys home, they don't have a prayer
Wow.
of getting there, and that's a no-no to get your first out of the inning at home plate. No, 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 never. 3 times this week.
Now,
I got nothing. I just have nothing to say about these guys.
Fitzy, I have a question for you. I'm an old school traditionalist kind of guy. You're a few years older than I.
Not many.
Not many.
Barely, barely
Okay.
any.
Now, baseball, Major League Baseball has the capability of having an electronic strike zone. So you'll have consistency on every pitch. You can keep your umpire back there to call fair and foul balls, plays at the plate. Okay, game in, game out. Fitzy, when you were 8 years old starting organized baseball, you were taught a strike was from your letters to your knees. Okay,
That's right.
It doesn't happen that way. Game to game, the strike zone
seemingly
changes.
has gone
Right.
lower, right?
That was
Okay.
a strike zone.
I am proposing, in this day and age of technology, that we go to the electronic strike zone, and again, the umpire will be back there.
See, what I would do, I would go the opposite way. I think the instant replay stinks. I think for baseball,
That just seems to make it just so mechanical.
for
though.
baseball, I think that they should have no instant replay, no nothing.
Just live with the
Live with
occasional
whatever it
bad
is,
call.
and if they make a bad call, it's part of the game.
Hopefully,
David-
I agree.
it
Yeah.
evens out.
Yeah.
I agree.
And-
No, Hawk, that's not
and-
a good way to go.
Yeah, and I have no problem with
I
David's
can understand.
proposal.
I can understand the
Just for
thinking.
consistency. But let me say this, Fitzy and David and Duke. If we had replay back in the day of Earl Weaver, we wouldn't even be talking about Earl Weaver today because everything's on replay. Earl Weaver never would have left the dugout once to argue a close.
Oh,
But-
but I like to have him come out.
Right,
I
and
do
that's,
too.
and that's part of the charm.
Well, and you know what the real problem is? The replay, they have the replay, and they still don't get it right. It's
Last
not.
night, a prime example.
They
Yeah,
still
you're right,
don't get it
David,
right.
They don't always get it right.
That Red Sox outfielder held on to that ball long enough to be an out.
Are you
Couldn't
talking?
see it.
Oh, Betts when he
Betts
went
over
over
the
the
fence?
fence.
Oh, is that right?
The one that went over the fence.
Yeah.
He held on to that ball all the way over the top until he hit the ground.
Huh.
I can't tell you how many seconds he had hold of that ball. He was in control of that ball until he hit the ground.
Is it something about you hit the ground and you still have to hold on to it? Is
Yeah.
that part of that, I
Yeah.
think?
I think
know,
when you
but
hit the
I
ground, you
mean,
got to take
he
the
was-
ball out.
Seemed like 5 minutes going over the fence.
I hear you. That makes no sense to me, but I think the rule is you have
Yeah,
to.
I think
but
no,
I
I think
agree.
you're right. I
You're
don't
right.
like the electronic stuff. I like the old game where the umpires are in charge.
Yeah.
I agree with David. I mean, these guys huddle for 4 or 5, 6 minutes. It's just delaying the game.
I mean, part of the strike,
the game
part of the strike zone thing is hey
that
hitters.
delays the game.
Guess what? On a close pitch, it might not go your way. So hey hitters, maybe if it's
Right.
coming in as a close pitch,
Again-
maybe you better swing
again, Dave-
and not take a called
Dude,
third strike.
Like you said, at 8 years old, you learn to hustle. Second thing you learn, on 2 strikes,
Right.
anything close you
It's
swing
close,
at
swing at
because
it.
the umpire,
Don't take the chance.
especially
That's
at
simple.
midget league level, they're just
I mean, they're not usually blowing these
No.
calls big time. I mean, it's usually close.
You know what drives me crazy? A batter steps in the box and puts his hand up to the umpire, so as if to say, don't let him throw the ball now. He's in the batter's box.
Yeah.
Throw the ball.
Yeah.
Just put your hand up, stuff. You're in the box.
Have
Step out if you don't want the ball thrown.
How about the other thing that drives me nuts is these guys can't even have productive outs.
that's
They
probably,
can't
you know,
even move. You got a guy on first,
Strikeout doesn't tend to be too productive.
guy on first, nobody out. They can't even get him to second base.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
It's awful.
Or especially
Their
even
fundamentals today are horrible.
Terrible.
Terrible.
They don't teach fundamentals anymore.
No.
Well, I'll tell you another one.
probably
Bryce,
especially American League.
Bryce
National League
Harper,
probably gets a little
MVP
attention.
season. He's only got like 4 steals. They're talking the away
He
broadcasters.
can run. He can run.
He can run, but he hurt his wrist before stealing a base. Okay.
Well, they probably tell him
okay.
don't run.
They probably
Sure,
have.
they tell him
but
not to run.
again, us 4, fairly close in age, we never heard of the head first slide when we were playing baseball. We were taught the hook slide. can't somebody teach Bryce Harper at age 22? This is how you slide with your feet. I mean, you're taking a big element of the
These
game
guys,
away.
this book on the Expos that I got from Nighthawk that I read this week. Tim Raines, how many stolen bases did he have? 900?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He was really good. You know, you kind of forget about how good he was.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, he's
He was really good.
borderline Hall
But
of
they don't
Famer.
teach the fundamentals anymore.
Well,
Night in and night out, I watch guys lead off first base and hustle back in when there's a throw over there, and lean right into the first baseman. Instead of sliding out around and back where they're supposed to be, they slide right in front of the first baseman. He can tag them very easily.
They don't.
Instead of staying back, you always were taught to get on the inside of the bag. You know, it's I don't know. They don't teach the fundamentals, and I'll tell you, it's very evident.
Yeah.
These kids in the major leagues don't know it.
Probably,
It-
especially American League.
it's
National
really
League gets a
this
little more
Red Sox
attention, I would
team
guess.
It's pathetic.
Oh, they're ugly.
That's the word I've caught.
It just and every week we go through this, but I'm telling you that I mean they used to jump on Valentine, the manager. Look at the scrubs he had for a ball club that year. He wasn't to blame for the way they played, as far as I'm concerned. This guy that we got now, I don't know if he's a good manager or not, but he has he give you a long story anytime something goes wrong. He's got a philosophy of what happened. What happened is he swung and missed at the pitch.
Yeah.
But this guy, Farrell, goes on and on and on and on.
Well,
and
hey,
on.
Fitz, to make your point, you saw Ortiz not run that ball out Saturday night. Did you see that? Why was he starting on Sunday?
Because they're
he's
paying him
Dave- 'cause he's
$16
David-
million a year.
Because he's David
and
Ortiz.
the ownership won't let him be sat
Because
down.
the fans love him. The fans, you know.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The fans are fickle in Boston anyway. That's a party game. They don't. 3/4 of them don't know where first base is.
Yeah.
They don't know anything
Fitz,
about baseball. Cheer that guy
You're
on.
so right. It's all that
He's
pink
always been
hat
a
crowd.
pain in the rear end.
Fitz, you're right. And when
What'd you call it?
The pink
pink
hat
hat.
crowd.
right, because when Duke and I went down there a few years ago, him and I conversed about let's look at the crowd, get the demographics, and I said they were like 28.5-year average. I think they were all financiers making $125,000 a
Drinking
year.
$8 cup beer
drinking-
that Daddy paid
Right.
for.
Right, drinking
Dollar, you're doing well
right,
if you probably get
drinking
it for
Sam
$8.
Adams at $11, wearing pink hat. This is a very rich elite crowd at Fenway, and I told Duke I cannot find a African American.
I was just going to say that.
in the
Remember that?
ballpark.
We had to look really,
Well, I
really
didn't find
hard.
a black person in the ballpark until the 7th inning. Okay, it's
About to
You're right.
mention that.
it's you know a
Amazingly,
family
so
of
few
four go
blacks.
to a Red Sox game. It's going to cost them, I believe, right around $500.
I'm telling you, follow me to Hilton Head and catch 4 to 7 days of a good golf tourney for half of what you'd pay for
That's
a
right.
game or two
been,
at
to,
Fenway.
been to that tournament and going again this coming year or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what?
But Fenway, Boston's gone. I've lost my interest, and I'm sad because I was a Red Sox fan at age 6.
Wow.
You know how many
yeah.
years ago that is?
Yep, same
20
with me, Fitz.
at
Yeah.
least.
20.
and it saddens me. This ownership is. David hit it right on the head tonight when he said that the general manager way over his head. I'm inclined to agree, except I don't think he has any authority.
Well, I don't think.
Luciano
Ugh.
is calling the shots, and that guy doesn't know baseball from a football.
But according to folks like Shaughnessy, Lucky Luciano's kind of on the way out, and it's more Tom Werner's coming back in. He says Lucchino's.
Terrible outcome.
He says Lucchino's kind
That's
of on
my
the way out.
weekly rant and rage on the Boston Red Sox. It's pitiful, absolutely pitiful. Their farm system is non-existent as far as I'm concerned, and they've got a long building program ahead, a long time. See you guys, you have a good
Thanks,
show.
Fitz.
Thanks,
Hey, thanks,
Fitz.
Fitzy.
I'll see ya.
Okay, my next Franklin County Field Day trivia question.
No, I should have asked Fitz.
What day is the Antique Tractor Parade held? This is pretty simple. What day is the Antique Tractor Parade held?
At the field days.
At the field days. You call, get that, 4 free tickets.
Oh.
All right, before I forget,
Field days. I just want to mention for folks who might be watching who don't know, if you have kids who are still doing rides, Field days is great because your $10 admission price gives you all the rides you want.
We ran out of time last week, but I thought it was semi-important. NHL expansion a week ago Tuesday. They had 14 teams in mind for the expansion.
Is this serious talk now?
Very
This
serious.
is going to happen because
Right.
they paid big money to get in.
Now there's 30 teams in, and they'd like to get a 32 and balance it 16 and 16.
Really?
Only 2 teams ponied up the $10 million to do their application,
Really?
and it's a $10 million
Please tell me
application
Quebec City
fee,
was one.
and $2 million is non-refundable. So if
Really?
they throw your app out,
Please tell me Quebec City
it's
was one.
Las
Quebec City
Vegas
and Las Vegas.
in
is
Quebec
that right?
City. Now, the easy question or answer to this, well, you don't need expansion. Arizona's had all kinds of lease issues in
How
Glendale.
about contracts?
So you move them to Las Vegas, and Miami Panthers, they have nobody that goes to the game. Miami's not a good sports town. You take the Miami franchise, move them up to Quebec.
There you go.
Solved. However, to answer what you're about
will
ready to
never
say,
happen,
an
right?
expansion fee is minimum.
500 million.
Minimum 500 million, probably will be closer to 600 million. You divide the 30 teams into 600 million, that's $20 million per team.
Huh.
Do you think they want to just to relocate, or do you think they want expansion?
Huh.
Big money.
So
and-
contract, I mean, moving, that, I mean, is that, well, of course, that has happened.
It
in the
has
past.
happened. The Atlanta Flames going up to Calgary, the Quebec Nordiques going to the
Winnipeg had a team before, right?
Winnipeg
Lost
went,
to them, got it
Winnipeg
back.
went to Phoenix.
Where did California Golden Seals
Well,
go?
Quebec City, the Nordiques, obviously.
And the
we
Kansas
mentioned
City
them.
Scouts.
The Kansas City Scouts, I believe, went to the New Jersey Devils.
Okay.
All right, Kansas City, that was an NHL team?
Yes,
Yeah.
That name doesn't
Don
even sound
Cherry was
familiar
a
to
hockey
me.
coach 1 year.
Is that right, the Kansas City Scouts?
Yeah, great. Yeah, they had an Indian on a horse.
Of course, we haven't mentioned Hartford Whalers, have we?
The Whaler. Yep.
Of course,
A
they
city
were
that
a
lost a team.
WHA team.
Yep. Yep. Boy.
But they became an NHL team.
Yep.
Well, you figure it out. If it's $500 million, so it's actually $1 billion divided by
I'm sorry, you're
two
right.
teams. It's $1 billion divided by 30.
Yep.
That's some serious
Here's an
coin.
interesting thing about the Quebec City thing. I pay some attention to politics north of the border. I think the folks who built the arenas, that it's a big media, but it's PKP, Pierre Carl Pelado, who happens to be the PQ leader, the Parti Québécois
Okay.
leader, who's an avowed sovereigntist. Gotta love Quebec. Just when you think that issue is gone, buried, it always comes back. And the PQ leader, who's got a pretty strong following, is an avowed separatist. But I think this is his company's baby, is this stadium. So you're hearing politics. If they don't get a team, he'll try to, if the federal government doesn't come through and do stuff, he'll go after those guys. But it sounds like
I
it may
actually
get
looked at pictures
some
tonight.
political
I
stuff.
Googled Quebec City's new hockey
Is
arena.
it still building as we speak, or is
Yeah.
it built? It's still building it?
Oh, yeah.
But I can tell you,
But it's well under
It's
construction.
gonna be done this
It's
fall.
going to be big, and it's
Okay.
It's big.
18,000 seats.
Wow.
the Pepsi Colisée, Pepsi was the
Le
corporate.
Colisée was,
Lake Colisée. They played their last game in that during the Memorial Cup in May. So
Yeah.
so the new arena will be ready.
I
Now,
sure hope.
Just to
I'm sure if they
refresh
get
your
that
memory,
for-
do you remember Hamilton built a big NHL arena
Oh,
about
really?
20 years ago?
Really?
Figuring build it, they will come.
Is that right?
And Hamilton kind of being your second Toronto
Where,
team.
Southern
that they
Ontario?
could support that.
Sure.
They
Didn't
never
happen.
got a team.
Interesting.
Toronto is the Maple Leafs have
God,
a
what a
stranglehold.
what a dreadful franchise. It's funny because what a horrible.
Well, they
franchise.
just signed Lou Lamoriello.
Amarillo 872.
Oh, is that right? Of Devils
yeah,
fame,
and
the veteran?
is it Shanahan
Lord.
who's the general
Brendan
manager?
Shanahan's their president.
They're
Well, Lou's got a pretty good track record.
And who'd they bring in 2 months ago for their new coach? Might be the best coach
Oh,
in hockey.
the Red Wings.
Babcock.
Mike Babcock. So you got Mike Babcock and Lou Lamoriello there now.
You think better days
And they
are
got rid
coming.
of Phil Kessel to the Pittsburgh Penguins to
right?
boot. So you don't have that fat lazy guy.
Oh, you're right, Toronto. That's a huge. I mean, they got.
they
a
haven't been good since
serious
Dave
fandom.
Keon.
Dave Keon. Who could forget Dave Keon?
Though they had a good team a couple years ago, didn't they go to the semis?
It's been a while, but let me refresh your memory back in the late 70s. Remember the goaltender Mike Palmatier?
Yeah.
They had and Yuri Boring Salming was their
Yeah.
defenseman.
Oh, yeah.
And he wore number 21. He was one of the best defensemen
Huh.
in hockey.
Interesting.
So
But for his hockey being, let's face it, there's no more hockey hotbed than Southern Ontario.
That's pretty
And
serious.
for
hockey.
Toronto to be lousy,
Yeah.
it's sort of like,
Must really
oh, it's
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys not talking too much about Deflategate because tonight that's so boorish to me.
can I just
NFL training camps open up at the end of the week. So
I just mentioned,
Yep.
I just wanted, this is Christopher Gasper, front page, top of the page, headline, NFL accuses Brady of cover-up try. But again, like I said, I have real concerns about Brady. I think they've played this very poorly. But just to tell folks, in case they don't know, it's not like all Patriots beat writers and stuff or homers, anything but. Shaughnessy's could kill Brady. But this is Christopher Gasper commentary. Just give you two graphs. If Tom Brady and the Patriots are innocent of a football deflation scheme in the AFC Championship game, they bungled, or innocent. They bungled their defense worse than the Boston 2024 Olympics effort. Behaving in a secretive and dismissive manner is part of the Patriots football culture. It's how business is done in Fort Foxborough. I love this. It has served them well to dismiss distractions, stiff-arm media members, and win football games. But it has proven counterproductive and downright destructive in dealing with the NFL's Deflategate investigation. And I'll just read you one more sentence which ends his story. And you can appreciate this sentence, I think. Last sentence. They have violated the golden rule of defense. Don't act guilty if you're not.
well.
So again, the Patriots are getting hit hard from some of the guys.
Kraft
who
really went off today.
Belichick classic.
I didn't see Belichick, but I'm sure you got nothing
was,
out of
but
him.
yeah, Kraft was bitter, basically saying, "Hey, it hurt me to agree to the losing the draft picks and stuff. I did it, i.e., assuming that the league would bend a little, maybe suspend him for 2 games." So harsh statement, and then Belichick comes on, classic Belichick. Got to get ready for it. Just said absolutely nothing. Classic Belichick.
you know the first caller who was real emotional about this?
Very.
Being the Cowboy fan, he should be the happiest man in America. The Cowboys play the Patriots game 4.
Game 4.
That's right.
Brady's
Would you rather-
last non-game.
Right.
Maybe.
And and the power or the balance is the Giants are going to have to face Tom Brady later in the year, where the Cowboys face Jimmy Garoppolo. It's
Here's another comment I heard. Again, this is on ESPN, but either before or after Belichick and Kraft came on. One of those guys on the set, probably a very good point, said, if Paul Tagliabue was still commissioner and Gene Upshaw was the union guy, he said, believe me, they would have dealt with this so quickly. It's just both the Patriots, Brady and Goodell are just digging in. They
Yeah.
didn't get there. They're just like a couple of kids who
A
didn't
couple
get
of
their way.
teenagers, yeah.
I think they're both looking lousy right now.
Yeah. And just finishing up here, one question I did not ask you, David. As you sit atop your perch of the American League East, is there any fear factor of any teams catching up with you, or you feel
Aren't they like
pretty
7 or
comfortable?
8 games up now?
They're
Good.
7 games up, and they're 8 games up on the loss column on Toronto.
And even if Toronto picks up a Price, a Hamels, there's no.
It's 1-1.
Well, I've read a lot of stuff lately, and picking up a superstar starter is no guarantee of getting into playoffs.
Sure.
And
It's not like they're pitching every day.
because they've looked at it over the last 20 years. Not one team that's picked up an ace has made it to the World Series because they might get like the time Milwaukee took CC Sabathia.
Yep.
And my God, they pitched him. They pitched him every 3 days,
Yep.
and they knew they weren't going to keep him, so they just burnt him out.
David, let me bring it back in time. It was around 1980. The Detroit Tigers, the Atlanta Braves sent Doyle Alexander to the Tigers at the trade deadline for an unknown pitcher. Doyle Alexander won 11. He went 11-0 after the trade deadline. Unbelievable. And this unknown pitcher that
Turned into John Smoltz.
was John Smoltz that the Tigers sent to Atlanta, and just 3 days ago was enshrined in the Hall of Fame.
How about the same time the Expos trading Randy Johnson
The big
and a
unit.
couple other guys for Mark Langston.
It was Randy Johnson, Brian Holman, and Gene somebody. And I remember driving my car, David, and I went nuts. Mark Langston was the best left-hander in baseball.
He was
We got him. This is unbelievable. And things didn't go well the
No.
last 2 months of the season. His wife didn't like Montreal. Free agent, he signs a big contract with the Angels, I believe.
and
it
you know
was.
what? He never amounted to anything after
Not
that.
much after that. I think he lost his fastball and he had to learn how to pitch.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Pedro. It sounds like Pedro. Did you watch any of the Hall of Fame stuff? Probably I didn't either. Sounds like Pedro was a class act, but I've
Yeah,
read a
great guy. but-
Pedro was unreal.
I don't want to sound like a cornball here, but there is no I in team. These individual honors and all-star, it means nothing.
Hey, we were talking last week. I don't know if we got into politics at all, and we're talking about Bernie and populists and all that.
I
and
saw him on Meet the Press this week.
Oh, is that
and
right?
I'm sure he did fine too.
He talked down the host, Chuck Todd.
Chuck Todd.
But anyways, I
Chuck's
kept
fairly
thinking in my head, who does Bernie remind me of? There was a real populist in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
William Jennings Bryan.
William Jennings
There we go.
Bryant.
Hey, do I get
and-
some field days tickets for that?
Yeah.
Answering that question.
And I said tonight that I was going to mention William Jennings Bryant because he ran for
go.
president about 3-4 times.
Populist
And
guy.
the other guy that we could compare Bernie to is Eugene Debs,
Eugene
who was
Debs,
a
the
socialist who was
socialist?
in jail.
Huh.
And who let him out? Was it? Was it Calvin Coolidge that finally commuted his sentence,
Is that right?
or
Boy, that I don't think I could
or
tell you
Harding, or one of those guys? Either Harding, Coolidge, and he
not
was
sure.
unapologetic when he was in because he
Alright.
was an avowed socialist.
Huh.
Eugene V. Debs.
Yep. I
You know,
remember.
as much as I enjoy politics, I go by the 11th commandment, thou shalt not talk politics until after Labor Day.
Oh, I'm sick of politics already.
Already,
quick-
I know it.
I just love this quote. This is a Shaughnessy column just on Pedro's 1999 year when he was unbelievable.
He was good.
But and Shaughnessy also mentions he had a pretty good relationship with Ted Williams, so called up Ted to ask him about Pedro. So this is Shaughnessy's column. Ted sympathized with Pedro, I guess, because Pedro came in second. Remember, MVP. Some people just wouldn't vote for a pitcher, so he lost the MVP
To whom?
Pudge Rodriguez.
Oh, okay.
I mean, an unreal
Wait,
year.
wait, let me stop you.
Yep.
Guess what happened to Pudge Rodriguez?
What?
He was busted for PEDs.
Okay.
So
well,
he
that's
lost to a PED player.
Interesting. So this is 99. So
Yeah.
Shaughnessy calls up Ted Williams just to say, any thoughts on Pedro not winning MVP, which Ted could relate to. And okay, so Ted sympathized with Pedro. He uttered words that probably will never be spoken by another human being. And he's now quoting Ted. Yeah, I know what that's like for Pedro, said the greatest hitter who ever lived. I hit 400 one year and didn't get it, the MVP. I thought that was pretty good.
Joe DiMaggio won the MVP that year. 1941. That was the year DiMaggio had the 56
Yeah.
game hitting streak. Ted Williams hit
Love
406.
that. I thought that was pretty good.
But let me say this about Pedro. He pitched during the
Oh, yeah.
zenith of the PED era.
Yeah.
And I told you years ago, you check Pedro's ERA when it was winning ERA crown. He
Like
was
a-
winning by 3/4
Yeah,
of
he
a run.
was good.
I mean, he, in my opinion, during his period of time, was as good as Sandy Koufax. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about Pedro.
Another interesting guy out of this book. They were talking about some of the expos, and Steve Rogers.
When the
I love Steve.
Steve Rogers, 270 innings year after year.
All right.
Think
Ton of
about it. And I was looking up today or yesterday, I was looking at the innings pitched. The most innings anybody's pitched right now is about 150.
As
And
of
most
right
of
now-
the starters are about 130.
The real big workhorses hit 220, and that's it. And I always tell you, for trivia, the last pitcher to pitch 300 innings, I've told you this numerous times, Steve Carlton, 1980.
Lefty.
So,
It's been since 1980.
Wow.
yeah.
Let me give you a little more from Shaughnessy's column on Pedro.
Was that when he was like 27-5 or something?
That was 1977. He won about 58% of the games.
Phillies
just
were
by- They
awful.
were terrible.
Pedro's resume is spectacular. He won 219 games and lost only 100. He was a latter-day right-handed Sandy Koufax, putting up amazing numbers in a steroid-fueled era of pinball offense. All of Pedro's numbers are eye-popping, but none of the metrics explain what it's like to watch him pitch for the Sox in 1999. Where do we start? He went 23-4 with a 2.07 ERA, 313 strikeouts, 37 walks.
Wow.
It was otherworldly.
How
and
about-
he didn't get the MVP?
How about the All-Star game in Boston that year? He struck out the first
Oh,
six
right.
guys.
Right. Right.
That was something else.
So
And
David,
probably some pretty good hitters there, probably.
Now,
Yeah.
getting back to Carlton, one of the all-time great left-hand
Lefty.
pitchers, he never ever spoke to the
I
press.
was going to say, hated.
Now, if you remember, he came up with the St. Louis. 1 minute.
minute?
He came up with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was traded to the Phillies for whom?
Oh, God. Great question.
Oh, geez. Was it
He
Tim
actually-
McCarver or
he
no?
pitched for the Red Sox later. Rick Wise.
Oh,
Oh,
is that
wow.
right, Rick Wise?
Yeah, and Rick Wise
He did
was
have
a
a no-hitter.
decent
Rick
pitcher,
had a no-hitter. Yeah,
but
decent
Steve
pitcher.
Carlton, I believe, was a 300-game winner.
Oh, lefty. That's right. He wouldn't deal with the media.
Yep. So that is it. Actually, I enjoyed that show quite a
It's a
bit
good
here
show.
tonight.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
calls.
And
Thanks
a lot
for
of
all
good
the
calls
calls.
tonight. I appreciate it. For Ian, Joanne, the Duke, Mr. Dave, I am the Nighthawk. And as always, remember, folks, you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
See ya.
Good night.
Go Blue Devils.